privilege and honor to introduce to you my father, Fred Wilkinson, a man of strength and integrity, one of grit and determination, and a never-ending belief that with a vision and a lot of hard work, nothing is impossible. A man who has been victorious against all odds in many, many battles, as he will share with you tonight. A real David and Goliath story. A man who has said, don't use the R word, retire, because he said, then what would I do if I did retire? He runs a very successful curtain and bedspread manufacturing company called Wilkinson's. He is married to the beautiful Vicki Wilkinson, and together for 34 years, they have worked as a team to build the life and legacy that he will share with you about tonight. He is my real life hero. Please help me welcome my father, Fred Wilkinson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I guess you all know my daughter Stella, and this is my wife Vicki. Probably without her I wouldn't be here. I mean, literally. So, anyway, hello, Mary Kay. Hoorah! That's what I do when I survive one more day at the VSU field house. When all you have is a dream and determination, it turns out all you need is your dream, a plan, and determination. Your goal is set beyond your sight. Your goal is set in time finite. Your goal beyond your ability creates in you great capability. What you know is a tiny sliver of that surrounding you. So prepare, 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 and prepare to be ready for your opportunity. For only God has all the information. And for you to make use of all this information, you need to be totally prepared to deal with all He has in store for you that you don't know about. I've been working for 60 years, and I have to tell you, I just love it. My dream of having a business that produced something came from my growing up. In the 1940s, that's right, 40, last century, my family lived on a turpentine camp at Blanton, Georgia. That's where Howell Road meets Grand Bay Creek here in Lowndes County. If you can go there by going out toward Howell now. It was a dirt road with no electricity, no running water, no hot water, and cooking on a wood stove. And by the way, as a 7-year-old, my job every day was to bring in wood for the stove. If you didn't do that, your dad was very upset. But what I learned was that when you produce turpentine, you got money. And my dad had a strong work ethic and long-term confidence. Here's one for you. I graduated at Naylor School. Now that's about like graduating from Dasher in 1950. There's 14 in my class. And by the way, out of that 14, there were 8 college graduates. Wow. And then I graduated at Emory University in 1958. That's quite a stretch from Naylor to Emory. After my time in service, I set out to produce something. With a wife and small children, I tried twice and failed, both times. The first product was women's wraparound skirts. You probably don't even remember those. And the second time was men's trousers. As I was closing my second business, I met my friend Robbie Weeks, who was making a few curtains in Quitman. He asked if I wanted to try to sell for him. Being absolutely broke, I tried it. He paid me $75 a week plus 6% commission for 9 months. And really, at the end of 9 months, I felt so bad taking the $75 a week. Well, I told him he had to quit. Well, he didn't want to because I was the only salesman. He was afraid I might give up and leave, but he didn't know me that well by then. My sales grew over the years selling curtains, and the last year I was there, I did $6 million. Now that's the equivalent of about 20 to 24 million in today's money. And I was making 8% commission. So you think I thought I was rich? I really did. But I was really broke. I told Robbie over the years about my dream, but he was not in a position to allow me to own half the business we had developed together. So in 1978, after I turned 40 years old, I quit my commission job and opened the business I have operated since. I didn't want to get to be 55 or 60, and really I thought I was pretty old at the time. And not having chased my dream one more time. Robbie was my friend, and he was so sure I would not leave that he paid me the commission for 3 months after I left. The first act that I did after I left Robbie to start my new business is I bought 15 acres on River Street. Now this is where the Scruggs block plant is now. And it had an old tobacco warehouse on it. Now this building had no heat, no air conditioning, no insulation, and very few lights. But nonetheless, I was able to attract people to work with me. One of our products was developed by a friend of mine. It was a triple ruffle curtain with bows. Now all of you might have a pair of these under your bed yet, I don't know. But it started selling like crazy. Since I traveled for years, most of the retailers east of the Mississippi were my friends. And many of them started buying my curtain. TG&Y, you might remember them, Rose's Department Store, and just many, Coons Big K, Edwards and Charleston, just many others. Before I left Robbie, I had an airplane, and I sold a lot of people east of the Mississippi and quite a few west of the Mississippi. But a lot of these people were my friends. All of the people were buying my curtain except Walmart, and that's who I was really after. And they were my friends, but they had taken the position that my company was too small to be a dependable vendor. Peggy Griffith, the Walmart buyer, had to see me every 6 weeks by their rule. So I would pull a U-Haul with an old Oldsmobile every 6 weeks or so to some 1,000 miles to Walmart headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas. Talk about the Griswolds going to Wally World. That's what I look like. Finally, with the sales records from other retailers and from us showing them complete ensembles, that's curtains, bedspreads, placemats, napkins, the whole 9 yards, I got my first Walmart order. Now, up until then, I had borrowed from the bank. Now, starting over at 40, listen to this time I picked. Prime rate at that time for people with excellent credit was 18%. Now, for me, struggling on River Street, they did me a favor and charged me 22. That means that after I paid interest on a loan 4 years, they'd gotten almost all of their money back. This was during Jimmy Carter's days of melees. But now comes the new problem. I had used up all my credit and money, And even though my building had a large hole in the roof, I just knocked a hole in the floor, so when it rained, it just poured right through. This has been okay up to now, but now with Walmart, it was a new game. So I needed a larger building, lots of machinery, and money to buy fabric. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, God, what now? Because I was really kind of I'd worked so hard and I had prepared. I was right ready to go, and I had a problem. Only God has all the information. Work, prepare. Work, prepare. You only know a narrow sliver of the information surrounding you. The man across the street, Kenny Scruggs, came over and said, Fred, I need to buy your 15 acres and your building. And by the way, it can be a net 10-day cash deal. While this was happening, the cotton mill building in Remington became available. So I sold the River Street property to Scruggs, bought the cotton mill building, and had enough money and new credit to buy new machines and fabric. Within 1 year, we were employing 450 people on 2 shifts and doing $12 million a year, the equivalent today of about 30 million. Our workforce eventually settled down to about 200, and over the next 10 years, we had the best-selling curtain in the Walmart's chain stores. Now the rest of what I didn't know. I kept the cotton mill property for 20 years and sold it to some investors for 10 times what I paid. Most of you have seen the construction in Remington by the railroad. That was our old site. Over the years, I've had many challenges, not many dull moments. In my life, it's the trip, not the destination. One of the most surprising and challenging events happened in 1991. We had a $1 million line of credit with Bank South, who was in Atlanta. During this time, Atlanta was experiencing an apartment boom, and the market got overbuilt. The value of apartments started to fall. Well, Bank South's balance sheet was loaded with overpriced apartments. So the feds, the federal regulators, came in and told them they had to put in some cash because the value of the collateral on the balance sheet had fallen. When they looked around, they found this old boy down at Valdosta who had a little money. So we were one of the few customers who had money. We owed them at the time $750,000. So they waited until Walmart and BC Moore owed us about $250,000 and directed the retailers to send the bank our money. When we didn't get a check from these reliable customers, I called Walmart right away. I was told my check had been routed to the bank. Without notice, Bank South was collecting us out. Later that week, we filed Chapter 11. In the meantime, we were short a cool $250,000. After we filed Chapter 11, the bank counterfiled with the court to put us in Chapter 7 liquidation. So we had gone from doing $175,000 a week with 200 employees to the threat of liquidation in a period of 6 days. At the same time, about 30 of our employees presented cards to form a union. Now, I had a union fight on my hands, and I had liquidation going on. The bankruptcy judge examined our business and listened to the bank's high-powered attorney from Atlanta. At the final hearing, the bank's petitions, there were some 7 of them, were all denied. After some negotiation, I paid off the loan at a discount of, you guessed it, $250,000. The union was defeated by our employees by 110 to 100. This all took 3 months from beginning to end. The challenges continue to this day. You don't get these kind of businesses fixed. Since 1980, the way to the market, that's how we're selling our product, has changed at least 4 distinct times. We started out in the beginning selling small stores and small chains. Then we sold larger stores and larger chains. The next step, we sold wholesalers on the web, people who had retail sites on the web that would list our products and sell the product, and we would drop ship it. And now we're developing our own trade name, something called Thomasville at Home. You can see it all over the web, and we're going direct. These were and are distinct and expensive learning experiences. None more fun and challenging than right now, as retail evolves away from storefronts to purchasing on the web and instant delivery. Now just a couple of more things. The first is my take on selling. I couldn't help but do this because I appreciate what you guys do. I mean, when Sailor told me this was the night of the stars, I said, man, a bunch of good-looking women that can really do it. So anyway, if you'll bear with me, and you might want to just ignore this, but I use it so effectively when I travel. On Sunday afternoon, I'd make a plan, and I would lay out the next week who I was going to talk to, where I was going. Not only that, I would write down what I was going to sell them. So I'll leave a sheet or two up here if anybody wants to look at it, but this is how my sheet looked. It was on a yellow pad, and it's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday down the middle. And on the left is what you do on the left margin is that you write down, this is your phone list as you work your other customers. You're making appointments for next week, you're following up last week, you thought about Susie Q might needs a certain product, so you're gonna phone her and get the order. You write that amount down one side, and then over here you write by day who you're gonna call on. Not only that, you write down what you're gonna sell them. Now, I've had a lot of salesmen ask me, how in the world do you know what somebody's gonna buy? And my answer to that is very simple. If you don't know, then who in the world does? So, my wife didn't believe this.
I love that.
My wife's sitting right over here. She didn't believe this. But I started writing this total down here and the total over here. And down at the bottom right, that total down there is what you're gonna do next week. Now, if you don't believe you can make that happen, you just try it about 6 weeks. I mean, I told my friend Robbie one time that I was gonna do $100,000 a week in curtains for 11 weeks. And he said, Fred, you can't do that. There's not enough customers out there. I didn't do it. I did it 12 weeks. But there you go. It was in my mind, and when it gets in your mind, you can make it happen. Now, there's only one other thing I want to mention, and that is, the second thing is, I encourage you to set goals with a time limit. Add a large portion of determination, rooted in a foundation of spiritual goodness, and you will not only achieve your goal, but you will have a fun and adventurous trip. As an example of these goals, at the age of 82, here are 2 of my more recent goals. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I work out 2 or 3 times a week at the VSU field house. So one of my goals is to be able to deadlift 410 pounds by the time I'm 89. Now before you laugh, let's think about these 2 facts. I can deadlift right now 225, but here's the kicker on this. I only need to add 7 ounces a week for 7 years to get there.
There you go.
My other goal is to do a half a marathon by the time I'm 85. So, in conclusion, your goal is set beyond your sight. Your goal is set in time finite. Your goal beyond your ability creates in you great capability. What you know is a tiny sliver of that surrounding you. So prepare, prepare, prepare to be ready for your opportunity. For only God has all the information, and it can only be used by being totally prepared. And thank you very much, Mary Kay.
You guys, I mean, if that's not inspiring to you, I don't know what is. And so we would love to get a picture. Let's have him come right up here with the directors, and we'll have a little picture of Mr. Fred and the directors. And before we do, I would like the consultants in the room, if there's something that he said that inspired you that you would just like to, we like to affirm people.
You can
know?
pay me later.
And so, flip him a 5, or if you'd like to stand up and just say one thing that inspired you. Thank you, Mom.
Prepare, prepare, prepare. And you're ready then, because you don't know what God is going to do. So if you're ready,
That's right.
and work.
That is absolutely right.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Not back to Ms. Lillian?
Hi, everyone. I like to say, when he said set a goal, you have to have a goal set in mind, and you have to stick with and say it to a link of a time. So I'm learning to set goals and to learn how to work. So I know there was a word for me tonight, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Lillian. Okay. Anybody else?
His story basically reminds me of this one graphic that I see where you're essentially digging in a tunnel and you can't see where your finish line is, but there's like one person who ends up turning around, but if you see, they're like a centimeter away from being able to hit the goal. The gold that was actually buried there. And so his story, as far as him keep on moving forward, and turns out that he ended up selling one business right when he needed to go ahead and get out of that area because they had a giant hole in the ceiling and the floor. So just that inspiration to keep on going. You may not be able to see the finish line, but the finish line might actually be closer than you think.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else? You know what I like the whole story, and I've heard a lot of your story, but I think what I like the most is just 7 ounces a day.
Yeah.
Because really all our goals, we set these huge goals.
That's the whole point of that statement.
Yeah, just we set these huge goals, and if we just really broke it down to daily, y'all, we can do it. Anything we want to do. And some of you, it may be that you want to win a car this year, or become a sales director, or be in the National Court of Sales or Sharing. And just think, what if you increased just a little bit every single day?
Absolutely.
You know? And so, thank you for that analogy. I absolutely love that. And I will let the directors, if y'all like to say something, then we'll take a picture.
Thank you so much from the bottom of a very thankful heart. That was just, it just resonated with me. And it was just so Mary Kay.
Yeah.
It's just like listening to Mary Kay. Mary Kay is very soft spoken, you know. It's just like listen to the male version of Mary Kay. Seriously, even down to the little yellow piece of paper there. I think that's where she started the company. Yes.
She was a super.
And I need to see you take a picture of that. I need to be really reminded of that every day because, you know, that's what we do. And it's amazing because once you get it in your mind. You decide in your mind. It really doesn't matter what anyone else
That's
thinks.
right. That's
But
right.
as a man thinketh, so is he or she. So get it in your mind. And I got it in my mind what I'm going to do.
Thank you, Joyce.
I love the way that you started this company. You started a new business after new business, and you never felt like I'm too old to do this. Like I'm 49, I'm this age, but you're still like that. That didn't even matter.
Yes,
No.
yes.
And you're never too old to be great.
Well, I have a problem with that, people's idea about age, because just think what I did. I was literally, when I turned 40, most people are retiring. I won't mention how much money I was making and I had made selling curtains, because I'll just tell you these couple of things. I had a pretty big twin engine airplane, and I had designer suits, I had a pilot, and we'd leave here on Monday morning, and I'd string and stroll all over the eastern United States. And so what really happened, one of the things is I just got so bored. I mean, and I kept thinking about my goal when I started my life. I wanted to produce something. So I think the thing about that is, if you're a Mary Kay rep and you develop a passion for this idea that you have, I'm going to do so much business in Mary Kay. Because really, it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 30. And by the way, your 50s are the best 10 years.
I'm not the 50s yet. She's still a baby. She's a baby.
Yes.
I like the fact that first that hearing about your failures. We have a construction business and with Mary Kay, and I feel like a lot of times you have to fail to succeed. You have to know what it's like being in both places. But that you took a building and you made the best of that building. You didn't feel like you had to put air and windows, and most of us wouldn't do that. We feel like we have to start with the best or we're not gonna start. We have to start with a full inventory or we can't sell. So I like that mentality, because I know if we start where we're at, we can do whatever we put our mind to.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I love hearing that. Sally, you wanna tell him what you think?
Yeah, I lived this with him, right? And
Could I interrupt you? I want to respond to just one thing that Janet said. One thing I threw out of the speech that was in there is the usefulness of failure. Now, I don't know how you think you learn, or you think you learn, or you think you learn for that matter. But in most cases, the way you learn is this: you have a goal, you're working toward it, and you fail. Things start coming apart, you don't know what to do, then you look at what just happened. Well, I failed because of this. So that's what I need to learn about and straighten out. You work that, you come around and you pick up where you failed, and you begin going again. Understand?
Yes.
So, and work life, and probably marriages and everything else, is this same cycle over and over. If you're not failing, you're not doing.
Yes.
Now, the construction business or the curtain business or any business you go at, if you're not pushing it enough, if you're selling Mary Kay and you're not building up your nose, you're not doing it, honey. I mean, you've got to build up your nose to get those yeses. Now, I used to disregard it. If I'd call a guy and he'd say, well, no, I don't want to see you, fine. It was a number. I've got 100 here on this list. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sam. You started talking about the failures. The failures is how you learn. And you don't go through life, you can't level off. I mean, leveling off is the hardest thing in the world. You're either doing this or you're doing that. You can pick. All right.
Thank you. I love that.
I think you've started a new career. Like as a
Motivational speaker.
I love you and thank you. And here's a small gift from all of us.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so if we will, if y'all just stay on your feet again, and we just thank you for taking your time out, you and Vicki coming out with us tonight. And you know, one thing we've got to learn from his story is he knew when to pivot and go in different directions. If something's not working, you got to pivot sometimes instead of just say, well, we'll just, I mean, there's one thing to keep on keeping on, and there's another thing to make a decision to do something different, even if it's out of your comfort zone. And so I think so many times that's what we just stop right there, you know. So thank you for so many examples. I'm glad we got it on video, and I'm gonna put it on, you know, YouTube and post it. And y'all might need to just watch it every day for the next 90 days, and we'll all be really free. So, thank you.